Hello and welcome to another Hero Arts video. This is Yana. How would you like to be able to make your own personalized thank you cards or invitations? Well, with the new Hero Arts Monogram Stamps, you now can. In this video, I'll show you a simple way to use new letter stamps to create personalized thank you cards. I have already gathered my supplies, and here are the two letters that I will be using today, the Y and S, my initials. I also have the pinstripe background stamp, which I plan to use to create a very subtle background for my thank you cards. Next, a few colors of ink, and these are the Butter Bar, Tide Pool, and I think these two make a killer color combo, and I also plan to use either wet cement or Cup of Joe ink. I also created a few card bases using the matching color of cardstock from the Pool Mix layering papers, and I also have a few panels cut out of white cardstock and a few envelopes from my stash. I'm going to begin working on my thank you cards by stamping the S letter first using the Tide Pool ink. I'm going to stamp this on all of my panels at once to save myself some time and to make a couple of these right away, as you can never have too many thank you cards on hand. Once that is done, I can go ahead and stamp the same letters on the flaps of my envelopes. I'm going to use a piece of paper to mask the other part of the envelope so that I only have the ink on the flap. Before I stamp my second initial, the letter Y, I need to create a positioning guide for myself, so I'm going to use a Stamp-A-Magic tool to help me with that. Once that is ready, I can play around and see how the final result is going to look before I actually stamp anything. Now, with these letters, there are many ways to group them together. You can stamp one higher and the other one lower. You can overlap them. You can even use different colors of ink for each of these. The sky is the limit here, and I encourage you to play around and practice before you do any actual stamping in a project. So stamp all of your panels and then repeat and stamp your envelope flaps as well. You can stamp as many as you like, and I find that it's always best to work in an assembly line fashion rather than stamping every single card individually. This saves a lot of time. Next, to somehow spice things up, we're going to need to create masks for our letters. I'm going to use thin printer paper for this, but there's also specialty masking paper that you can use that works even better than printer paper. So go ahead and simply stamp each letter apart from the other and cut out, leaving a small margin around it. It is important to have two separate masks as opposed to one with overlapping letters, as the overlapping on the stamped panels is not going to be exactly the same on every single panel. So by having two masks, you can properly mask each letter on every panel. The cutting is going to take some time, but these masks, if handled carefully, can be used over and over again. I've used mine about 10 times already for my practice pieces and to make cards in this video, and they're still good. If you've cut your masks out of thin printer paper, you're going to need to add a bit of removable adhesive to the back to help these stay in place. If you're using specialty masking paper, you're all set to go. So just go ahead and position these on top of your stamped letters on your panel. And you do have to make sure to use removable adhesive or temporary adhesives so that you will be able to remove the masks from your project after you're done. Now that we have our letters masked, we can go ahead and add something to our background. I'm going for a very simple but classic design, pinstripes. I'm going to use the Butter Bar ink from Hero Arts and ink up my pinstripe background stamp. Whenever I'm using background stamps, I like to keep my stamp on my work surface and place the paper that I need to be stamping on top. Then press down with my hands to evenly apply pressure and transfer ink onto my paper. Now that the background is stamped, I can remove my masks. Be sure to do that carefully to preserve these for your next card. And after you're done using them, just put them away together with your stamps so that you already have these made next time you decide to use these monogram stamps. Next, I'm going to use a thank you very much sentiment from the Thanks a Bunch set from Hero Arts and the wet cement ink to finish my card. The Cup of Joe ink looks just as good and makes a great combo with the yellow and the mint blue. I'm going to stamp the sentiment overlapping the already stamped letters. You can also stamp your sentiment at the bottom before making the background and maybe also have it masked. There are lots of options how this can be done to achieve a simple yet beautiful effect. So next I'm going to trim about 1/4 inch off my stamped panel and adhere it onto the pool card base that I had already created. I'm not using any foam adhesive for this, as I want these to be as thin as possible so that I can easily pop them in the mail. As one final touch, I'm going to add a few small white pearls next to my letters to make them even more feminine. So this finishes my project. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section on YouTube or on Hero Arts blog. Thank you and bye!